Welcome back to Learn Academic English. I hope you're ready to learn some vocabulary today because in this lesson, I'm going to teach you 100 expressions that you can use at school. As you may know, I teach English as a second language, and I always want to help my students to improve their vocabulary. And one of the things that they always say is that it's hard for them to go to school in English because often they don't know how to say some of the most basic everyday things, like how to ask a question or how to talk to their classmates in English. So I hope that this video will help you to feel more confident in school or in other situations in which you need to use English. And if you find this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, subscribe, and comment. So to begin, let's look at a few phrases that you can use to agree with someone. Number one, I believe that. Now we all know how to say I think that, but often we say I believe that. Number two, it seems to me that. This is a very common way to express your opinion. It seems to me that. Number three, in my opinion. This is also very common, but you want to be careful because we never use in my opinion and I think together. So if you say in my opinion, just continue the sentence. Don't add I think. In my opinion, big cities are better than small towns. Next, how to agree with a classmate. Number four, exactly. Exactly. Number five, absolutely. Number six, right. Number seven, that's a good point, or simply good point. Number eight, that's true. In the next section, how to disagree with someone politely. Now, you might know that in the United States, we have special ways of disagreeing with people. And this is especially common in school or work or other settings where you might not know the other people well. We disagree politely. And we do this by saying that maybe the other person's opinion is okay, but we have a different opinion. Number nine, maybe, but I have another idea. Number 10, that's possible, but what about, and then your opinion. Number 11, okay, but I think. Next, to ask someone for their opinion. What do you think about? Or simply, what do you think? What do you think? And number 13, what's your take on this? Your take means your opinion or your position. What's your take on this? What's your opinion on this? Next, how to ask a question. Number 14, excuse me, I have a question. Or, excuse me, I have a question about blah, blah, blah. Number 15, could you please explain that again? Now, this is a yes-no question, so your voice is going to go up at the end. Could you please explain that again? Or you can also insert whatever it is that you're asking about. Could you please explain that problem again? Could you please explain that equation again? And next, could you please give an example? And again, you can insert the topic. Could you please give an example of that rule? So be careful because notice that we do not say, I have a doubt. We also do not say, can I have a question? The most common way to say is, I have a question. Next, working together. It's very common in the United States for students to work together in pairs or groups in class. So the professor or the teacher might say, please break up into groups, or please split up into groups. Or the professor might indicate how many people. Please break up into groups of 3. Please split up into groups of 4. If you're sitting next to someone that you want to work with, you could turn to the person and say, do you want to work together? Number 19, you can indicate what you want to work on. Let's go through chapter 1. Let's go through our answers to the homework. Let's go through the test together. Number 20, who wants to go first? If you're working in a group, maybe nobody starts, so you can say, who wants to go first? Or you can offer to go first. I'll go first. I'll go first. Number 22, what do you have for number 1? What do you have for this one? And to give the answer, you can say, I have A, or I have 35. Number 24, let's take turns. Take turns means that you alternate. So person A answers first and then person B, or person A does something and then person B. Let's take turns. Number 25, whose turn is it? So maybe you are taking turns and then you lose track. Whose turn is it? And then you can say, it's my turn, or it's your turn. Number 27, maybe you need to ask about the time. How much time do we have for this? Or how much time do we have for this assignment? Or how long do we have for this? How long do we have for this project? Number 29, do you have a pencil I can borrow? Number 30, does anyone want to get together to study? This would be a way to offer to get together outside of class to study together. Or does anyone want to study together? Okay, in the next group, we're going to talk about what to do to get the group back on track. This is a very common problem. Sometimes in classes, the students are working together in groups, but then they start talking about something else. And this is especially common in the United States, where students will often, just get distracted and want to talk about other things. So maybe they'll talk about their weekend or some game that they went to see. But maybe you want to get the group back on track. So you can say something like, let's get back to the assignment, or let's get back to the book. So that's just a way of bringing everyone back to what you need to work on. If you want to be extra polite, you can say, maybe we should get back to the book, or maybe we should get back to the assignment. You can also say, let's move on to the next problem. Let's move on to the next page. Or maybe you look at your watch and you say, oh, we have only 5 minutes left. Let's try to get the next one done. We have only 10 minutes left. Let's try to do the next page. Next, let's talk about due dates and expectations. If you get an assignment from your professor, you need to know, when should you turn it in? What do you need to do? What are the professor's expectations? So a very common question is, when is this due? You can also ask, when is this essay due? When is this assignment due? Or you can say, what is the due date for this assignment? What is the due date? What's the due date for this essay? Number 36, when is the test? Now notice that we use simple present when we're talking about a scheduled event that's going to happen in the future. We don't say, when will the test be? We usually will say, when is the test? What is the test on? So that means, what is the test about? What is the test going to be about? What is the test on? And the professor can answer, the test will be on chapter 1, or the test will cover chapter 1. What is the homework? Or what is the homework for Wednesday? What is the homework for next week? Next, maybe you need to turn something in late. You can say, can I submit this late? Or can I turn this in late? Maybe you want to ask about the professor's rules for late work. What is the penalty for late submissions? How many pages does this need to be? How many pages does the essay need to be? Maybe your professor didn't really give you enough information about his or her expectations. So you can ask, what are your expectations for this assignment? Now, maybe you want to be more specific. How long should it be? How many pages? What format do you want me to use? But you can also just ask, what are your expectations for this assignment? Is there a grading rubric that we can see? A grading rubric is a paper that has all of the ways that the professor will grade you. So if you want to know how the professor will grade you, you can ask to see a grading rubric. And finally, number 45, syllabus. This is a very important word that you need to know. A syllabus is the document that guides the class. So the professor will prepare a syllabus that has all of the professor's policies and rules and due dates and other important information. And usually the professor will give you this on the first day of school, and it's important for you to make sure that you have it and that you keep it and refer to it. Again, it's called a syllabus, and the plural is syllabi. Okay, next, how to make small talk with classmates. Americans love to make small talk, and here are a few ways that you can do it. First, you can say, how was your weekend? That's a very, very common question. How was your weekend? Oh, my weekend was great. It was busy. How about you? Number 47, do you have any plans over summer? Or do you have any plans over winter break? So it's very common for people to ask each other what they're going to do on vacation, and it's just a way to share, what fun things you might do. So that would be a very common way to make small talk. You can also ask, do you have any plans for this weekend? But you have to be a little bit careful with that one because it almost sounds like you want to make plans with that person. Like, are you free? Let's do something. So that one, you just want to be careful with that because you don't know if the person is going to expect that you are inviting them to do something. Number 48, what's your major? Or what are you majoring in? So major can be a noun or a verb. So what's your major? That's a noun. And what are you majoring in? That's a verb. And you can answer, my major is biology, or I'm majoring in computer science. And finally, what are you taking next semester? Again, a very common question to ask, what classes are you going to take next semester? What are you taking next semester? Or what classes are you taking next semester? Next, let's move on to talk about how to talk about grades. Lots of students like to talk about grades. How can you do that? Number 50, how did you do on something? How did you do on the test? How did you do on the essay? Now, in American culture, we never look at other people's grades. We ask, and sometimes they will not answer with a lot of information. They might just say, oh, I did fine, or I did really bad. But we don't look, we ask. How'd you do on the test? I got an A, or I got an 85. Another question that you can ask is, what did you get on the test? And that's asking for a specific score. What did you get on the test? I got an A+, or I got a 90. So that would be asking for a specific score. I failed the test. That means that I got an F. Number 54, how did you do in, and then the class? How did you do in Biology 101? How did you do in English? Or you can ask, what did you get in, and then the class? What did you get in English composition? So again, here we would be asking about the class, and you can say, oh, I did well in that class, or you can answer, I got an A in that class. Now notice with grades that we don't say, I got an A grade. We say, I got an A, or I got an A-, I got a B, etc. Number 56, I got straight A's. Straight A's means I got all A's in all my classes. Number 57, I passed all my classes. So I passed my classes means that I got a C, a B, or an A. It means that I got credit for the class, I completed the class with a passing grade. Or we can also say, I didn't pass English. So that would mean that I got a D or an F and I need to take the class again. Number 59, I flunked a class. To flunk a class means to get an F in the class. And finally, number 60, what's your GPA? GPA stands for grade point average. And grade point average is asking about the average of all of your class grades. And we do it on a scale that goes up to 4.0. So you can ask, what's your GPA? And the person might answer, I have a 3.8 or I have a 2.5. Next, let's talk about how to talk about being absent. So if you need to miss class, what can you say? Number 61. Unfortunately, I will be absent tomorrow. I have a doctor's appointment. Number 62. I will make up any work that I miss. So this means that I will do the work that I miss when I am absent. How many absences do you allow? So this is asking the professor how many absences are okay for you in your class. Number 64, if you are late, you can say, I'm sorry I came late today. Or I'm sorry I was late today. Number 65, do you accept excused absences? So this is asking the professor if they accept some absences as excused. So for example, if you have a doctor's appointment, can you show your doctor's appointment paper to your professor? And then the professor says, oh, I'm not going to mark you absent because you had an excused absence. And finally, what is your attendance policy? So this is asking what the policy or rule is that the professor has for absences. How many absences does she allow? Does she allow excused absences, etc.? Next, let's talk about how to talk about what we do in class. Number 67, what page are we on? So maybe you have your book open, but you don't know what page to turn to. What page are we on? Next, are you done? So this is a very, very common question that we will ask. You know, if you're working on something and someone wants to know if you have finished, we ask, are you done? And then you can answer, I'm not done yet, or I'm almost done, or I'm already done. And that means that I have already finished. Number 71, could you please read page 10 aloud? So sometimes professors will ask students to read aloud in class. Could you please read page 10 aloud? Next, open your book to page 10, or turn to page 10. Or open your books to chapter 2, or please turn to chapter 2. What is the topic of this reading? This reading is about, or this reading is on. So I have another video about this, about what's the difference between on and about, but in school situations we will often use the word on to indicate what the topic is. So this reading is about child development, or this reading is on child development. The test is open book or open notes. So some professors will allow their students to use their book while they take a test, or they can use their notes that they have taken in class during a test. So we would call that an open book test or an open notes test. Number 77, the professor handed out the assignment, or we can also say she passed out the assignment. She handed back or passed back our assignment, or she handed back our tests. So this means that she returned them to us. The professor hasn't corrected our tests yet, or the professor hasn't checked our tests yet. Take one and pass them back. This is something I say every day in my classes. I give my students some documents or some handouts, and I say, take one and pass them back. So the first student in the row will take one and then pass them back. Next, how to talk about studying. I need to study for the test. So notice that we say study for something. I need to study hard, or I need to hit the books. Hit the books means to just focus and study hard. Number 83, I pulled an all-nighter. To pull an all-nighter means that you stay up all night studying. I pulled an all-nighter. Number 84, I crammed for the test. So to cram means that you study very fast and very intensively. Maybe you pull an all-nighter, but you're gonna study at the last minute. Apply for scholarships. Scholarships are gifts of money that are given to students, usually excellent students, and the students can use this to help them pay for school. To get accepted to somewhere. So you can say, I was accepted to UCLA, or I got accepted to UCLA. Have you chosen your classes yet? So this means that you need to look at the class schedule and select the classes that you will take next semester. Have you registered yet, or have you registered for classes yet? So to register for class is when you actually go to the school or the website and you enroll in the class. And you can answer, I registered for classes yesterday. What classes are you taking next semester? I'm taking math, biology, and English. So notice here that we will often use the present continuous to ask about plans in the future, right? So we usually say, what classes are you taking next semester? Last semester I took, so if you're talking about classes that you already completed, already finished those classes, you can say, I took English. That when you hear I took English, that means that you were in the class and you finished it. Or maybe you dropped out, but you were in the class. So be careful, because to register for class and to take a class are different things. To register for class is to put your name on the list for the class, but to take a class means that you go to the class. How many units are you taking? In the United States, we count the number of units for each class, and usually a full-time student will take 15 units, a part-time student will take 12 or fewer, and we can say, I'm taking 15 units this semester. I'm a full-time student. I'm a part-time student. Do you work on campus? Yes, I have a job on campus. Or no, I work off campus. Off campus means not at the school. So that was a lot of vocabulary. I hope that some of these expressions will help you to feel more comfortable in the classroom. Please don't forget to leave a comment and let me know which of these are new for you, or ask a question if you have one and I'll be happy to answer it. Until next time, take care and I will see you soon.